I talk a lot about micro skills, those small intentional actions that create big impact. That's the focus of Micro Skills, Small Actions, Big Impact, a business and leadership book about transforming your work and relationships through simple, deliberate practices that anyone can champion. Whether you're leading a team, building your career, or navigating everyday challenges, Micro Skills help you show up with more intention and effectiveness. This holiday season, Micro Skills is available at all major booksellers, including Bookshop and Amazon. You can get it in hardcover, ebook, or audio. Small actions, big impact. This is the Visible Voices minicast, and I'm your host, Dr. Resa E. Lewis. Audience, welcome to the final episode of 2025, and I'm delighted to bring you a minicast episode on coaching. So my visible voice today is Dr. Lillian Liang Emlet. She's a professor of critical care medicine at the University of Pittsburgh and an associate program director for the Internal Medicine Critical Care Fellowship. She is dually trained in both emergency medicine and critical care medicine, and she's also a certified energy leadership coach. She's also a podcaster and a newsletter writer. But back to the coaching. Through her company, Transforming Healthcare Coaching, Lillian helps healthcare leaders perform at their highest level without burning out or sacrificing their team's culture. Let's get to the conversation. One of the things I really like is we know that people are often promoted just by being in a position or being in an institution long enough, but they're often not set up for success or given the skills. And it sounds like this is what you and your team really hone in on.
Yes, absolutely. Physicians, executives, clinical leaders, both in nursing and clinical world. Plus, now we have a burgeoning new area with NPs, PAs, pharmacists who do need to direct pretty large interprofessional or hospital sort of things, because there's a lot more systems being developed that we are seeing that there's a new challenge, right? Like you were fine when you led your own department, division, but now you got to lead within a building and then building of buildings.
Yeah. And people often step away from what primarily got them interested in their position or in the clinical specialty to begin with. For audience members, that just to clarify, an NP is a nurse practitioner or a PA is a physician assistant. How do clients find you? How do they make their way to working with you?
I have to admit, LinkedIn's sort of been the most fun place to go play and learn and meet people and also see a different perspective. I think the greatest challenge for many of the leaders is being afraid of not understanding certain other things in the healthcare industry, like the finances, the revenue stream, the ability for marketing, outreach, community. All of those things are new for many of the leaders. And they're just amazing clinicians or amazing team leaders, right, for just the clinical team in their particular area. But now they're trying to understand and think differently with a lot of business people and innovators and trying to figure out how to leverage your time correctly. What do you have to do yourself physically versus how do you bring the smartest people across the organization so that you can do things better together?
So people find you mostly via LinkedIn.
Hmm. Yeah.
And what's it like to work with you as a coach?
So we start usually individually because the first thing is, as the individual leader, you yourself must be whole, grounded, and understanding what your values, your mission, and where you are in your own developmental journey. So there's a theory in both education, but mostly in the coaching world, called vertical leadership development. It's about how people develop as leaders and how you think about what tasks you need to do as you go through that developmental journey. And so depending on where you are, we first need to get that part crystal clear for yourself so that you can understand where you're going the next coming, 6 months, 1 year. From there, the rest follows. Then we can decide, well, it seems like you're ready for team growth or you're ready for delegation work, or now maybe you're ready for more outward bound, or maybe you're ready for a team of teams to be able to come together. So it's really until we make you as the leader individually well, whole, and energized with clarity, then the rest will follow.
I mentioned in your bio, and I checked to make sure, is this right? Energy leadership coach. What does that mean?
Yeah, so all of our coaches at Transforming Healthcare Coaching graduated from the Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching, or IPEC. It's one of the oldest training programs for coaching that's ICF accredited. As you know, there's more than one certifying body internationally for
What's
professional.
ICF?
The International Coaching Federation.
Got it.
And so there's more than one accrediting body for different types of coaches and coaching degrees. And so, coming from healthcare, certification is important, accreditation is important. All of those bells and whistles are important to me. And they're also important for the industry and for the science and the advancement of the field. And so I purposely chose a place that was more holistic and intuitive to add in things that maybe that as a healthcare and a science person, we're really good at analytics and facts and rationales and experimentation. We perhaps are weaker in what we call the soft skills of business, right? And so energy leadership really marries the two together in terms of both psychological rigor for the coaching practice and the methods for instituting professional change, and also listening to intuition, emotions, energy. When we talk about what is energy, right? A lot of people are like, "Oh, I get it. Yeah, I'm tired in the morning." And then or unless you're a morning person, which you can say you're not tired in the morning, you have a lot of energy in the morning. So people intuitively sort of just understand that. And so we start with the 7 levels of energy and how that shows up for you in different areas of your life. And then from there we continue to refine and tweak.
You shared a little bit of how clients find you. Do they usually work with you for a few months, a few years, or sort of what's the timeline?
It really varies. Some people work with me for a couple months. Some people come back after, they go out, they do their thing for a while, and then they come back. I do have a couple long-term clients where it's, been a couple years where we're together and we're sort of on maintenance phase. Usually in coaching, there's always this intensity of in the beginning to kind of institute the change. And then it's about maintenance. And then the question becomes, of course, everybody wants to take off the training wheels completely. And then you fall off for a little while. And then you realize you need a dose to kind of come back. I think the way we're seeing things now is that most leaders are able to sustain that change, but then a new problem crops up and then we probably have a new solution. So meaning like another new intervention to get the team on board for some big degree of reorganization. Another thing that we have is our group coaching program for well-being called MedThrive, where we really focus on longitudinal, just having a community to just ground ourselves in our own well-being first. Because if that's not well, the rest of leadership is sort of a moot point.
Is there one pivot or change that you'd like to see in the workplace so that people actually don't need to work with a coach and seek out your services?
I think it's unlikely that healthcare will ever become that different. I mean, as much as our company's name is, Transforming Healthcare Coaching, we want to see healthcare transform. The reality is we're dealing with very high intensity moments, right, for well-being and for curing illness and disease. And it's always going to be a stressful place to be. I find it unlikely that leaders won't seek someone to be their secret guide on the side. I do think it would be nice to have that marrying of both the internal and the external coaches, that the culture is just different. The leaders intrinsically have great mentorship, sponsorship, and coaching skills so that there is a lot of less distress and distressed. And I also would say it would be really nice to see healthcare be a place where people can more clearly see themselves in the entire leadership development journey. Because right now, I think that's definitely something that changes between seniors and juniors, right? Like they don't always see themselves, they don't understand the way their career will evolve.
If there were just one book that you would recommend that listeners and viewers could read to help them in their leadership journey that they might get sort of as a little prop to coaching, what would that be?
I probably would say Atomic Habits, because it's these tiny micro habits, just like your book, micro skills, micro habits, micro skills. It's through those tiny little agency of change that you can create for yourself is what I would say.
Can you teach them one behavior, one act, one skill that they can learn right now that you can teach us?
The mindfulness, the literature and the data for mindfulness is very, very strong. And so I invite, if you're listening, to just take a moment and just notice where you are and take a breath. So in through your nose and out through your mouth. Another deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And one last deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. If you can just find 3 breaths in between transitions, 3 breaths before you go to your next important meeting, 3 breaths as you're walking or running, actually, 2 rapid responses, which is what I do. I focus and try to become more laser like in my presence. You're going to become more able to notice things, be more able to handle things emotionally for yourself and for your team, and also just be a smarter leader, healthcare provider, and be more present. And just these small little tweaks.
Lillian, for people that want to learn more, follow your work, and even maybe work with you, what's the best way to reach out and get in contact?
I would say follow me on LinkedIn because I do read everything on LinkedIn. I'm actually there every single day. Those posts are all by me. There is no AI writing any of them. And you can email us at hello@transforminghealthcarecoaching.com. And, I would say just reach out and have a chat. 15 minutes just to hear, sort of help you sort of just think through what might be the next thing that you want to do for your team or yourself or your family so that you can become a better leader in healthcare. And then whether you end up working with us, you might end up enjoying some of our other content that we have. We have a podcast, we have a group coaching community, we have a bunch of other different offerings, a newsletter, depending which the way you like to consume content. But in the meantime, do just reach out and say hello. Maybe there's something, a suggestion that we can offer to be able to help you.
That's great. Lillian, thank you so much for joining me on this Visible Voices minicast.
Thank you so much for having me. I love this podcast. You've been able to elevate so many different voices within the healthcare sphere to be able to bring greater diversity to what we get to see and hear in the healthcare industry.
The Visible Voices podcast amplifies voices in the healthcare, equity, and current trend spaces. Our team includes Dr. Giuliano DePortu and me, Dr. Resa E. Lewis. Find me at Resa E. Lewis, MD on social media or visit thevisiblevoicespodcast.com. Find us wherever you listen to podcasts and watch our episodes on YouTube. This podcast is for education and entertainment purposes only. The views and opinions expressed by our hosts and guests are their own and do not reflect the opinions of their institutions. Information shared here should never substitute for clinical judgment or for medical advice. Together, we're making healthcare more equitable, one visible voice at a time.